Welcome. A combination of Hoosier tradition and the kindness of Tammy, I stand before you as Tom's last surviving brother to deliver his eulogy. I hope to leave you with a perspective of who exactly left this world on January 14th. A perspective that only a 5-year-old sharing a bunk bed with a big brother can give. I make special note that Thomas's son Terrence and Timothy were to share that exact sleeping arrangement during their young years. My nephews have begged you to lock away your bunk bed memories deep in your heart, for they are vital to the potion that God makes all future puppies and kittens from. Borrowing a line from Tom's eulogy of my older brother Edward, for those of you in attendance who did not have a big brother, I'm sorry. Being a little brother to Tom meant many things. Besides the fruits of being younger and being able to create all kinds of chicanery and fight starting, fully knowing the parents would of course blame the big brother. It's funny, it never occurred to me, as Tom had the top bunk, that big brothers don't actually enjoy being kicked in the back by giggling siblings on the bottom bunk. Who knew? Being a little brother of Tom meant lifetime protection from all that really scared me. And until I left on the 14th, he still did. The characters of Hollywood trained Marcus hired thugs don't even touch the security blanket wrapping the heart and psyche of the little brother, knowing the unstoppable force just waiting to come to our protection with a simple beckon of Big Brother. Tom was born in 1958 and I in 1964, leaving us with a 6-year gap. It's amazing when you see your big brother show the beginnings of facial hair, beginning his own journey into manhood. Note to parents, this will soon be followed by a request for their own room. The reason I mention our age difference, besides describing the awe I always held for him, is that unlike others, I was spared losing my big brother and best friend as he grew into adulthood. Nope, pretty much where Tom went, I was welcome. And I know that this is much to the utter disgust of the other men of 13 years old who had things to do and places to go. Once at the YMCA, I went into change because Tom was leaving, and naturally, my role as untouchable bratty brother entitled for me to go too. One of Tom's crowd saw me and said, "Oh man, can't we just tie him up with a towel and split before Tom knows he's gone?" I left immediately, indignantly, and informed Tom of this dastardly plan. And those of you who knew Tom knew he just said, "Stay here." About 10 minutes later, he left the boys' locker room with 3 complete full sets of clothes, including my bathing suits, and tossed them far into the deep end of the YMCA swimming pool. No words were said, no stories of bravado, just his normal smile. And we began our 3-mile walk home together as brothers. Some apples don't fall far from the tree, and I've seen the same deep love in Terrence's eyes and his actions towards Timothy since birth. I will just say that the very earth would shake if Timothy needed help from his big brother. Well done, Tom and Tammy. In writing this, I was pretty stuck between what I considered to be among his best attributes, so I'll list three that I thought were important. His unflappable optimism, his love of laughter, and his core belief that everybody gets a fair shake. Tom, his whole life, everyone seemed to like that guy, want to be around him, known to be a friend of him. But they all knew that Tom did not believe in outcasts, be them social, economic, or any other sick reason this world discards other human beings. I hope that you will always be able to hear Tom's laughter in your heart, and I beg you, if you feel a mountain is too big, remember Tom knew of no such boundaries in life. Tom, in his early teens, at 16, was to leave home, and before long had accomplished much that would dot the resumes of today's NBA candidates. He talked his way into being a helper on a hot dog snack truck that served construction sites. Within a year, he had 3 of these trucks. Tom was always proud of his accomplishments, and as such, he took his 10-year-old little brother, me, on his route once. Apparently, there is a long-held and secret hierarchy tradition that exists within hot dog truck vendors. And this other truck was none too happy with us miscreants pulling in on his turf. Tom pulled right into the site, exactly right next to where the other truck was, and started serving clients. I begged Tom not to start trouble and move on, and he just said, "What's he gonna do?" As Tom was serving food, I saw the other vendor climb out of his truck with a baseball bat. I desperately tugged on Tom's shirt and pointed to that 6-fingered Goliath with a bat coming at us. Fast. Tom just said, "Hey, I'm a lover, not a fighter," and he drove away. That very evening, Tom talked $5,000 out of his boss, and the next day he pulled right back next to that same vendor with a sign that said, "We cash paychecks." As a dozen burly workers flooded Tom's truck, the angry man kept his baseball bat at bay and drove away, yelling very bad things about our immortal souls. I can still hear Tom's laugh today, and I know you can too. By the way, Tom owned that 6-finger monster's truck 4 months later, and he was only 16. A truck empire was not enough in Tom's scheme, so he once again relied on his friend, boss, benefactor, to bankroll the running of a unique sandwich deli eatery. His out-of-the-box thinking and insistence that all sandwiches be piled too high to close electrified the sleepy sandwich shop kingdom of Carlisle, Pennsylvania. 2 of the other 2 sandwich shops changed ownerships or closed down within 6 months. Tom was 17 at this time. Those of you who know Tom and sat at the ranch with Tom particularly, I noticed this, and I saw as a child, he had a 1,000-mile stare. A stare at the sunset as if he knew something we didn't. He saw right past it. Well, that 1,000-mile stare was always with him. And as a young man, I saw it. I know in my heart and believe that he saw past the horizons of the Allegheny Mountains of Pennsylvania and into something we could not see. Somewhere 3,000 miles away in Pleasanton, California, lay his princess and future sons. And off he went. He followed his destiny. To the horror of his boss, he up and joined the Air Force. Unlike today, the 1970s were not so kind to such a calling. Truax is being a staunch military family, serving in every war since a revolutionary. Such thinking is nonsense. Tom was to rise to the very heights of the United States Air Force. This culminated near the end of his 8-year hitch by a Defense Meritorious Service Medal personally authorized by this nation's 40th President, Ronald Wilson Reagan. I'm going to skip. A lot of you didn't know that, and you wouldn't. That's not who Tom was. Tom was about who he was, not who he was. Being in Pennsylvania at the time, with my own sights set on the Navy, I had no earthly idea how he got past the formidable Portuguese defense system of the Fuentes family and stole away with their youngest daughter, Tammy. Only Tom. Tammy, every match for Tom in tenaciousness and wit was, I know in every bone in my body, is what he saw in the sunset horizons of the Allegheny Mountains in Pennsylvania. Tammy had Tom's number, and he knew it. His journey had ended. He found his damsel in distress. Except his damsel ended up being every bit his equal, and most certainly was not in distress. He loved it, and so did the rest of us. Now, Tammy was not in the mood for our shenanigans when I was on leave in the Navy. We built an 8-foot cat house. The cat hissed and ran away. We never got near the thing. We left open windows, cheated the Trivial Pursuit, and retreated to general housekeeping filthiness. I'm a sailor, what I can say? The Fuentes daughter had no problem telling a sailor off in her own secret Navy terms. I gave his sister that day. Tammy came as a package. Her parents, his sister Tina, who was my partner in crime, let's leave it at that. Frank and Corky Fuentes treated Tom like a son, and they loved him so. So far did their love flow for Tom that Corky helped me deliver my firstborn son, Matthew, so that my wife Carol would not be alone in a new state with no family. Carol's from Long Island. They even did Grandparents' Day in elementary school, so my boys Matthew and Nicholas would not be alone. God bless you both, Frank and Corky. Fortune had swung Tom's way again. As my father would have said, Tammy, you came from good stock. Tom walked the talk. At Christmas, a company we owned would donate 1,000 turkeys to the Salvation Army. One year, he made us use all our own cars, as he didn't want it to be seen as a corporate logo advertised giveaway. That was Tom. Once a guy walked into our store outraged over something or another. What the man did not know is Tom had arranged a very well-paying job for the man's sister. I asked Tom later why he didn't just let the guy know. He said the arrangement was that nobody was ever to know, not even the recipient who had arranged it. He told me one day he would understand. And indeed, I do understand. As the years went on, and this is a warning to you young folks, they go so quick. Tom went on to hold several executive positions at Emmanuel Medical Center, Sutter Gold, Society for the Handicapped, and finally, before cancer was to rob him of this world, director of Doctors Medical Foundation. At all these places, he was a change agent, supporting or instituting a philosophy is we work for anyone who needs us, period, or hit the road. Tom disdained big shots or anyone that did not believe or sadly did not understand the simple words to our favorite song as taught to us by our Father. The road is long, with many a winding turn that leads us to who knows where. Who knows when? But I'm strong. Strong enough to carry him. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. So on we go. His welfare is of my concern. No burden is he to bear. We'll get there, for I know he would not encumber me. He ain't heavy. He's my brother. If I'm laden at all, I'm laden with sadness that everyone's heart isn't filled with gladness of love for one another. It's a long, long road from which there is no return. But while we're on the way there, why not share? And the load doesn't weigh me down at all. He ain't heavy, my brother. I say these things to those of you who are blessed to know Tom. And love to be with Tom. And I see a lot of you out there. In addition to who I've mentioned, his heartbroken sisters Mary Victoria Truax and Deborah Truax Flannery are in attendance and are suffering from the depths of that special grief that losing a sibling digs from your very soul. As for me, there is no Tom and Dave anymore. Hurts the most. I don't know what that means for me. But perhaps I will look into the voice and the eyes of his boys, comfort, along with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. A final thank you from the very depths of the hearts of the Fuentes and Truax families is a blessing upon the head and heart of Dr. Mark Winkley. Mark had such a godly love for Tom in his tireless continued efforts spanning Europe. First to save him, then to comfort and deliver Tom into our Savior's arms. Mark, if you're out there, you're a prince among men, and a credit to your profession. My last comment, I may need some help with. Tom's favorite movie was Forrest Gump. And if you haven't seen it, don't worry about being part of it. Come on, need some help. So, I'm going to need your help. Jenny, if you want to know what I think Tom's found himself in heaven's Greenbow, Alabama. Thank you very much.
Must have been cold there in my shadow to never have the sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine, that's your way. You always walked a step behind. So I was the one with all the glory, while you were the one with all the strength. A beautiful face without a name for so long. A beautiful smile to hide the pain. Do you ever know that you're my hero? And For you are the wind beneath my wings. And might have appeared to go unnoticed,